In this world, there are several forbidden books, whose very names sound unfamiliar. These books supposedly contain information that very few people know about, and their contents are mind-blowing and eye-opening, never previously considered. It's fascinating to think there might be such aspects in this world, isn't it? Maybe someday I'll discuss all these mysterious books. This time, I'll talk about a rather sensitive book. This book isn't included in the canonical or official Bible, and its contents truly open up previously unexplored realms of thought. It's truly one of the most mysterious books in the world, a controversial text. Before delving into the discussion, I'd like to give a disclaimer, because this book is closely related to the Abrahamic religions Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. It's considered misleading, which I'll explain later. Essentially, as I always say, absorb the good, discard the bad, and approach negative information with caution. If you think it's best to overlook it, feel free. Watch with an open mind as various information and knowledge are presented. Okay, let's discuss. So the Book of Enoch, or the Book of Enoch, is an ancient religious text believed to have written directly by Enoch, the seventh descendant of Adam, the first human created by God, who lived before the time of Noah. Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, is directly mentioned in fragments, specifically in the Book of Enoch 608, which mentions, "In the east of the garden where the chosen and the holy ones will dwell, where your grandfather, who I appointed the seventh from Adam, the first man formed by God." Not only that, but this is also mentioned in the New Testament, specifically in Jude 114, which states, "Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied about them, see, the Lord is coming with thousands upon thousands of his holy ones." From this, we know that he was indeed the seventh descendant of Adam and Noah's grandfather. What makes the story of Enoch intriguing is that he was the first human bestowed with the ability to read and write, making him the first person to know how to do so. If you're curious about who was the first human to know how to read and write, the answer is Enoch. Additionally, Enoch was also given many visions and prophecies from God, and all these prophecies were written in the Book of Enoch, making him a prophet directly appointed by God as the scribe of truth. This is recorded in Enoch 151, which reads, "And from them I heard everything, and I knew what I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one which is to come." One of the reasons why this book is intriguing is because it contains the first writings of mankind concerning the will of God. Some sources believe that the book was written by Enoch approximately 5,400 years ago, in a mix of human language and the language of angels. One of the most famous quotes from this book, written at the beginning, is, "And from them I heard everything, and I knew what I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one which is to come." These words are iconic in the Book of Enoch and are one of the most valuable in human history, because they are the first words ever written by a human being, actually intended not for Enoch's generation, but for ours, the current generation until the end of time. If you watched my video discussing Dante Divine Comedy, you'll find similarities between Dante and Enoch. Both were chosen by God to explore the universe and the afterlife with the purpose of seeing all the secrets of the outer earth, space, hell, and heaven. Enoch was also given many visions and prophecies about what happened in the past and until the end of time, with explanations even more detailed than the books of Genesis and Revelation in the Bible. The Book of Enoch also contains many parallel versions found in the canonical Bible. Why was Enoch chosen as the human bestowed with all the gifts and visions from God? It's believed that Enoch was the most faithful and closest to God during his lifetime, and he never committed any evil deeds, making him special in God's eyes. What sets Enoch apart from other humans is that he never experienced death. Instead, he was taken alive by God to heaven. This is written in Genesis 522:24. Enoch walked faithfully with God 300 years. Enoch had other sons and daughters. Enoch had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enoch lived a total of 365 years. Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. Furthermore, in the New Testament, specifically in Hebrews 1:15, it is also written about Enoch being taken by God. I mentioned earlier that Enoch was the seventh descendant of Adam. This is one of the reasons why he was chosen by God, as according to numerology, the number 7 represents God's number. symbolizing completeness and perfection. If you watched my video discussing angelology and demonology, you'll notice the significance of the number 7 mentioned frequently. And there's much more to it. Due to these reasons, Enoch was chosen by God not merely by chance or random selection. However, unfortunately, biblical scholars consider the book of Enoch as apocryphal, meaning its authenticity is highly doubted and it's not included in the canonical Bible. So, if you search for the book of Enoch in either the New Testament or the Old Testament, you won't find it. It turns out that in ancient times, during the development and compilation of the Hebrew canon, this book was widely known. However, eventually, it was excluded from both the official canon of the land and the Septuagint canon, as well as from the canonical books. Then, since the Council of Laodicea in 363 AD, the Book of Enoch was also excluded from the Christian Bible canon. From that moment on, the decision of the entire church authority branded the Book of Enoch as heretical and forbidden to read. Consequently, all copies of the Book of Enoch were burned, buried, and destroyed by the government, gradually eradicating it from circulation. Therefore, modern scholars and biblical experts refer to it as apocryphal, deemed as a fabricated text of Jewish origin from the 3rd century BC. You might be curious about what the content of this book is and how it could be removed from the canonical Bible, even declared heretical and eradicated from circulation. This book consists of 108 chapters divided into 5 sections. The first part, from chapters 1 to 36, provides detailed explanations about the Watchers, or the fallen angels, the origin of the fallen angels, and then explains about the Nephilim, the race of giants who once lived on earth, which I've discussed thoroughly in my previous video. Then the second part of the book of Enoch, from chapters 37 to 71, discusses various parables by Enoch. The third part, from chapters 72 to 82, explains the secrets of astronomy and the heavenly bodies. Then the fourth part, from chapters 83 to 90, contains visions, dreams, and prophecies seen by Enoch. Lastly, the final part, from chapters 91 to 108, contains the Epistle of Enoch, which consists of messages or warnings to all people who read this book. Most modern biblical scholars believe that these 5 sections of the Book of Enoch were originally separate writings with different dates of composition, which were later compiled into one. The most controversial part of the Book of Enoch is found in the first section, which provides detailed explanations about the fallen angels who sinned and disobeyed God's command by descending to earth and sexually intermingling with human women. This is written in Enoch 61:2, which has sparked controversy because it contradicts the portrayal of angels as holy divine beings, making it implausible for angels to engage in such behavior. Therefore, this book is considered heretical. Another reason why this book was eradicated is because Enoch wrote many unfavorable words about the rulers of the earth and their wicked kings. One example is found in Enoch 464:6. Due to such statements, the rulers and kings who read Enoch's writings seemed offended and upset by what Enoch wrote. Hence, the government banned this book from being read and destroyed all copies of it. It's really sad that many people disagreed with Enoch's truthfulness and took such drastic measures, considering the Book of Enoch as a mere fabrication. However, if it's indeed genuine, then it becomes the most precious writing in human history, authored by the first person to know how to read and write. But did you know, despite the efforts of various world rulers to eliminate the existence of the Book of Enoch, one complete copy of the Book of Enoch managed to survive destruction? This book was entirely found in the ancient Ethiopian language called Ge'ez. Thus, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, from ancient times until now, still uses this book as part of their canon and considers the Book of Enoch as truly inspired by God. Therefore, the people of Ethiopia have preserved and maintained this book in its entirety since ancient times, passing it down to the present generation. Then, the oldest version of the Book of Enoch found in the Ge'ez language is called Matzafata. Around 1773, a Scottish adventurer named James brought back 3 copies he obtained from the library of the Ethiopian Church. After that, Bruce presented one of the copies he had brought to King Louis X of France, and it now resides in the French National Library. Another copy was donated to the Bodleian Library at the University of Oxford, and the last copy was kept by James himself until his death. Eventually, this book also ended up in the Bodleian Library. However, This is not the only surviving relic of the Book of Enoch, because in 1948, 11 fragments of the Book of Enoch in Aramaic were found in the caves of Qumran, along with ancient Hebrew canon scrolls called the Dead Sea Scrolls. Besides the Aramaic fragments of the Book of Enoch, there were also 3 small fragments in Hebrew. Ultimately, these fragments were stored by Israel's Antiquities Authority, and they were translated by Joseph Malik and Matthew Black in the books of Enoch. Additionally, there were some discoveries of Greek fragments of the Book of Enoch, one example being found in the Cairo Geniza, which consists of several fragment papers and portions of chapters 1 to 32 of the Book of Enoch. These fragments were discovered by French archaeologists in Egypt. Other parts of the Book of Enoch in Greek can also be found in the Chester Beatty and Oxyrhynchus papyri. However, among all the fragments of the Book of Enoch found in different places, the Matsapha Enoch version from Ethiopia is the most complete. The reason for this is that it was well preserved by the Ethiopian people, thus maintaining its integrity. Hence, they are considered the saviors of the Book of Enoch from the persecution it faced in 363. Eventually copied and disseminated worldwide, starting in the early 2000s when George Nicholsburg published the first comprehensive edition and explanation of the Book of Enoch. Since then, many seminars have been held to discuss Enochian literature, making the whole world now acquainted with the Book of Enoch in detail. However, to this day, this book is only accepted as a canonical scripture by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the Eritrean Orthodox Church, and the Beta Israel community. Although modern scholars consider this book apocryphal or a fabricated writing, it remains a subject of debate because there is evidence supporting its authenticity. For example, several parallel versions of the Book of Enoch can be found in the canonical Bible, such as the one mentioned in the New Testament, specifically in the Epistle of Jude, verse 14 to 15. Additionally, there are similarities between certain passages in the Book of Enoch and other biblical texts. Furthermore, Jesus himself indirectly mentioned Enoch in the New Testament, specifically in Matthew 22:29-30, which can be compared to Enoch 156. Here, Jesus teaches the principle that angels in heaven live in eternity and do not marry or are given in marriage. This principle is not found in any part of the Old Testament, but is only found in the Book of Enoch. Therefore, it is evident that the Book of Enoch was widely known during Jesus' time. Once again, I give a disclaimer that this is not my personal opinion, but an attempt to match the logic of the verses of the Book of Enoch with the verses of the canonical Bible. All of this information is written in the introduction of the Book of Enoch from pages 2 to 4. If you have the book, you can check it directly there. Additionally, as mentioned earlier, there are many parallel versions of Enoch's book that can be found in the canonical Bible, which are interconnected. So it's natural to find many similarities between them. If any of you are theology students or have a deeper understanding of this matter, feel free to correct any mistakes. In essence, it all boils down to our individual beliefs. We are free to choose whether to believe in what is written in this book or to consider the Book of Enoch as mere fiction, as stated by biblical scholars and Christian scholars. However, if this book is indeed the first writing attributed to Enoch, then it's truly remarkable and mind-blowing. Blowing because this writing has survived through the ages, overcoming significant events like the Noahic flood and the destruction carried out by world rulers to eradicate its existence. So, in the end, the Book of Enoch has stood the test of time, enduring for centuries until the generation of the end times, as intended by Enoch when he wrote it for future generations. What do you think? Is all of this just a coincidence, or is it the truth desired by God? It's up to each of you to decide whether to believe or not. If you'd like to contribute your thoughts, feel free to comment below. Let's make this an open forum for discussion. Thank you so much for watching, guys.